Hey guys, this is your host Thomas Tyree here from On the Hot Podcast. Today, this will be the Combat Series episode number 103 for you guys today. And to kick off this week's episode, I'll be discussing my fight prediction for this weekend's fight taking place in the UFC between Merab and Sean O'Malley. So this will be the highly anticipated rematch for the main event of UFC 316, where Merab will defend his bantamweight championship against the former bantamweight champion Sean O'Malley. So I'll be sharing my fight prediction, and to kick off the segment, I'll be discussing the following storylines heading into the main event of UFC 316. So, is Sean O'Malley mentally prepared for this rematch against Merab? Now, the last time we seen Sean O'Malley in the octagon was his fight in the main event in UFC 306 against Merab. And this was realistically the first time in Sean O'Malley's MMA career that we've seen him squashed, dismantled, dominated for nearly 5 championship rounds. I scored the fight 4 rounds to 1 in favor of Merab for the main event of UFC 306. Debatable how you guys have who won the 5th round, but I say that Sean O'Malley won the 5th and final round of that fight. But winning 1 round isn't enough to retain your bantamweight title, and that's exactly how that fight between him and Merab went in the main event UFC 306. It was a complete disaster for Sean O'Malley that night in the octagon, and he has not had another fight since then. And he's getting in the octagon with the same man that gave him his most difficult fight and gave him the most problems that he's ever seen in a UFC octagon. So mentally, I want to see if Sean O'Malley's prepared for what Merab could dish out to him again, or possibly some new tricks up Merab's sleeve that we could see in the main event of UFC 316. Now, final storyline is Merab ready for his second bantamweight title defense? Now, Merab, he did have to defeat Sean O'Malley, and at the time, Sean O'Malley was at least, for your guys' opinions out there, at least had to be a top 5 pound-for-pound fighter in the UFC at the time, because in my opinion, he was a top 5 pound-for-pound fighter before Merab took the title from Sean O'Malley. So in order to be the man, you got to beat the man, and Merab passed that test. He won a fan out of me at UFC 306, but then I just started to fall in love with what this guy could do in the octagon based on what he did to a undefeated Umar. Umar, who was going to be the champion after UFC 306, looked like he could be the next legitimate threat at this bantamweight division. He still is. But Umar being the cousin of Khabib, what Merab did that night, earlier on in the year, defending his bantamweight title against Umar, that is probably one of the biggest threats to this bantamweight division. And with that fight that I seen between Merab and Umar, I honestly say that it's a debatable conversation, but I think that was the most highly anticipated, skilled fight that the bantamweight division has ever seen in the UFC. That's how spectacular that fight between Merab and Umar was earlier in the year, and Merab passed that test with flying colors. And now he's gaining confidence. He's got the momentum boost behind him. I want to see what his second title defense will look like in the main event of UFC 316 against Sean O'Malley. But enough of the storylines. Let's get to the tail of the tape here. Starting up with the challenger, Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley has 18 victories, 2 losses to his MMA career. He has 12 victories come way of knockout, 1 submission victory. Currently the number 1 ranked contender in the bantamweight division. Stands at 5'11" with a reach of 72 inches. Then, looking at the champion Merab. Merab in his MMA career has 19 victories, 4 losses to his resume. Has 3 victories come away of knockout, 1 victory come away of submission. Currently the reigning, defending bantamweight champion in the UFC. Stands at 5'6" with a reach of 68 inches. So, the height and the reach goes in favor of Sean O'Malley. He wasn't able to capitalize on the height and the reach the first time these respective fighters got in the octagon with each other. I want to see if Sean O'Malley, with his striking background, can use the height and the reach advantage to his advantage in this highly anticipated rematch. But let's get into the following game plans that I have for these respective fighters to follow if they want to walk out of UFC 316 with the bantamweight title. Starting with the challenger, Sean O'Malley. I think Sean O'Malley is going to have to use his striking and background to his advantage. And we know that Sean O'Malley is an impressive striker. That's his bread and butter. That's how he became a household name in the UFC, racking up knockout victories. And he has an impressive boxing background to his abilities. He's known for his knockout power and his boxing abilities to keep the fight standing toe-to-toe with his opponents when the fight is kept standing, not going to the ground. That's Sean O'Malley's bread and butter. And I think if he could find a way, if he's going to win this fight, he has to keep the fight standing and go and try to make this a striking affair with Merab, because he still has the striking advantage over Merab in this fight. And Sean O'Malley is a very effective counterpuncher. So if the counterpunching is effective for him with the striking and he's letting his hands fly, this could be in favor of Sean O'Malley to regain that bantamweight championship against Merab. Next, Sean O'Malley should land the leg kicks. Now, Sean O'Malley is a really good at landing leg kicks. He can land the leg kicks to his opponent's calves. He can land the leg kicks to his opponent's sternum / the body. And he is good for also mixing that in with landing high knee strikes. And if he's going to land the leg kicks to the calves, land the calf kicks to slow down Merab offensively, land the leg kicks to the body, to the sternum to slow down Merab offensively, then mix in the high knee strikes. I just rolled the tape yesterday when I was watching the film of both respective fighters, but I went back and watched the title defense that Sean O'Malley had against Vera last year, and I seen him roll into a high knee strike that he landed on Vera. I mean, this man could do it all standing-wise. So I think he should mix that in, the striking, the leg kicks to the calf, to the sternum, mix in the high knee strikes. And last but not least, this is going to be the most important for Sean O'Malley. He's got to be alert defensively. Now, I think for technical difficulty. I think for Sean O'Malley, he should keep the fight, he should be alert defensively, because he needs to be alert defensively. He needs to have constant head movements and block a lot of takedowns that Merab's going to be dishing out to him. If he could be alert defensively, constant head movements, moving around, so that Merab doesn't get going offensively, landing the strikes, and to frustrate Sean O'Malley, because if he's getting hit with the strikes, then boom, the takedowns come to him. It's not going to be an easy night in the office for him, and the chances of him regaining that bantamweight title go down the drain. So I think if Sean O'Malley could be alert defensively with constant head movements, stuff the takedowns, he could be in position to regain the bantamweight title. So that's the game plans that I have for Sean O'Malley. Then for the champion, Merab. I think Merab should take down Sean O'Malley. Now, I just talked about Sean O'Malley stuffing the takedowns, but Merab had a lot of success frustrating Sean O'Malley, taking him out of his comfort zone, not letting the fight stay standing, and Merab took Sean O'Malley to the ground. Sean O'Malley is not known for being a known grappler. He's known for his bread and butter, keeping the fight standing with his significant striking abilities. But Merab took down Sean O'Malley, scoring 6 takedowns, and had a total of 10 minutes of ground control in the first fight against Sean O'Malley. And Merab also holds the record for the most UFC takedowns in UFC history with 92 takedowns. He passed the great George St. Pierre in his last fight against Umar to surpass George St. Pierre's all-time takedown record. That record stood the test of time at 90 takedowns. Now Merab holds the takedown record in the UFC with a total of 92 takedowns. So the bread and butter for Merab is there. He's a great wrestler, and you know he's going to take the fight to Sean O'Malley on the ground, because Sean O'Malley didn't know what to do the first time this happened. Next, I think Merab should fight well in the distance. Now, the fight at times is going to be kept standing. He's not going to be able to hold Sean O'Malley down forever, I don't think, this time. But I think the fight should be kept standing. And Merab doesn't have the knockout power. Like I just said, he only has 3 KO finishes in his MMA career, but he has enough power to frustrate his opponents. And he's great at landing significant strikes in the distance as fighting in an orthodox stance. So I think Merab could do that, landing the strikes in the distance, frustrating Sean O'Malley to make some mistakes, and that could lead to Merab landing the takedowns in this fight. But last but not least, I think Merab should take Sean O'Malley to the deep waters. Now, both of these fighters have championship experience. There's no debating that. Both former world champion. Well, Merab is a world champion now, but Sean O'Malley is a former world champion. So I think if Merab can take Sean O'Malley to the deep waters, Merab has the cardiovascular endurance. He has that to his advantage over Sean O'Malley. I think Merab has one of the best cardiovascular endurance gas tanks. He has one of the most incredible gas tanks in the UFC across the board in each and every single division on the UFC roster, man or woman. So it's crazy that Merab does not get tired in between fights. And that surprises me for someone that is it's not like he's not active for all the rounds that he fights in. This man is active, moving pillar to post, around the octagon, up and down, on the ground. This man does it all. So I think if he could take Sean O'Malley to the deep waters and he's in control of this fight, he's in good he's going to be in a good position to retain that bantamweight championship. But with that being said, I'm going to go with Merab to successfully retain his bantamweight championship against Sean O'Malley in the main event of UFC 316. And I think he's going to win this fight again by decision. I just believe that this fight between Merab and Sean O'Malley is going to be way more competitive than the squash fight that we've seen at UFC 306, where I scored Merab winning that fight 4 rounds to 1. But I think styles makes fights here, and no matter what type of adjustment Sean O'Malley is going to make for this rematch, I think Merab is just the overall better fighter. Once a fighter has your number, it's a wrap in combat sports. And I think Merab has that ability to frustrate Sean O'Malley once again with the takedowns. Remember, he scored 6 takedowns in the first fight against Sean O'Malley. The ground control had 10 minutes of ground control, or it might have been even more. Also, I think he does have the ability to stun Sean O'Malley in the striking ability and win the counter striking battle again. But I think Merab just has enough to get the unanimous decision victory over Sean O'Malley again. And plus, the only way I see Sean O'Malley truly winning this fight is getting a KO finish. And if Merab fights well in the distance and that orthodox stance than he normally does, if he can take down Sean O'Malley, if he can be comfortable and mount control and have his way on Sean O'Malley, a knockout isn't going to be good enough or banking on a knockout is going to be good enough to defeat an overall talented fighter like Merab in this highly anticipated championship rematch. So that is my Merab and Sean O'Malley fight prediction for the main event of UFC 316.